I think it's somewhat unfair to put me up here after Eric Peterson was to say a fantastic speaker and the beautiful woman from WebTrends. So you left with me for 15 minutes now as the nicest person in the web analytics industry. I'm not really going to add a rooster of fantastic features on what we do and what we do better than the others, because I just concluded 2 hours ago that there's no real difference between Omniture, IndexTools, and WebTrends. So that said, if you look at the 4 features that WebTrends provide, which is visitor intelligence, we haven't really added a name to that, but the whole doing visitor segmentation is just added into our tool, so it's not a separate product. The dynamic search they have, we didn't add a name to it, we just call it bit management, so it's included into the tool and you can utilize that at the same time. What they call a score is essentially the ability to provide you with custom fields and custom metrics and calculate the value of that. That is included into the tool as well. So taking away all the marketing buzz, put it into one tool, give me the opportunity to provide that at 1/3 the cost. That was the previous conclusion. So that's getting into the presentation that I want to do today, which says why I think you should get started on utilizing tools like IndexTools and WebTrends and Omniture to begin with, and thus moving away from whether that is Google Analytics or other more basic reporting tools. And I'm going to spend 10 minutes on that, and hopefully, if I'm lucky, leave out a bit of time for Q&A at the end. I think it's actually really important that we understand that, and we being, myself as a vendor, Renee as a consultant, and you guys as practitioners, that reporting being looking at any standard canned reports within any of the tools that is out there, whether that is as basic as Google Analytics or IndexTools or Omniture, on any of the metrics, whether that is a more advanced metric such as a unique visitor over the last 4 days, or something as basic as page views or first-time visits, within a very limited context, whether that is on a weekly basis, without comparing it to a conversion or to a sourced channel, isn't really too smart. And you aren't getting too far if that is what you're doing with your analytics package. And I don't think that anybody should confuse themselves with looking at reports. And I have a word for that, which is called report surfing. And we all done that, and we still do that, is that we go into our analytics solution, we start in the upper left corner, we look at the number of visits this day, this week, we look at the number of referring URLs, a couple of sites, we look at a couple of campaigns, we look at some costs from our paid search, but we're essentially just doing report surfing, but not really an analysis. If we want to do analysis, even before we log into the tool, the first thing we should do, which is essentially repeating what Eric said before, is don't start with any reports. Don't use any of the canned reports to begin with. Ask yourself a set of business questions before you get started using any of the reports. And if you can answer those questions within the tools, you've actually been successful in doing analysis. Super. That was my conclusion. And what is the difference? I think we all agree here that reporting is produced by tools, whether that is myself, WebTrends, Omniture, or any of the others. We don't provide anything beyond reporting. There's no magic included into those tools, but they'll give you the opportunity to do analysis. They won't do the analysis. They'll give you a custom report wizards that will give you external data sources that will give you profiling and scoring, but it's just an opportunity. They haven't done anything. You have to do the work. And the analysis is done by, you people. And finally, having the right tool, and again, adding the right people to that doesn't really complete the full equation. You need to have processes in place, such as when I get the report, what am I supposed to do? If I get a certain result, do I take action? What is that action? Who's supposed to take that action? So you need to have those processes in place. I understand. Super. So we understand here, and the impact is, give it the right tool, the right people, the processes, you get to something as fantastic as, this is huge, these are large fonts, the data-driven organization. And I wish I could say we as a web analytics company is definitely running our company as a data-driven organization. We're not, because that is extremely difficult. But I think this is what we should aspire to become, so that in a data-driven organization, where we actually set out with a set of strategic objectives and the willingness to empower our analysts. Instead of telling the analyst, as Eric said before, please produce 19 different reports on a weekly basis for this set of managers, give them an objective of, we want to be here in the market, or we expect to have this much sale in the online channel, or you're supposed to generate this many leads. That's a decent objective. Then they can go out and analyze which channel should we use, is there any better channel, how much would it cost for us to generate this many leads. So you actually empower the analyst to come back with recommendations and not just facts in retrospective, as in, yes, we did get 700 leads. That's not really worth the analyst's time. Super. How do we tell? Reporting doesn't really require any action. 700 visits yesterday doesn't require action. An analysis without action, that's, at the end of the day, just reporting. Reporting doesn't really relate to benchmarking, and if you just look at your own data within either that just being clickstream data or being your company data, actually resembles reporting at the same time. So you need to take that data and benchmark it either against a previous period, a different segment, a competitor if possible, to start doing analysis. And reporting is rarely a forward-looking activity where analysis isn't really something you do to conclude on what happened last year. It's something you work on to come up with a recommendation of what you can do to improve your business tomorrow. I need the clicker here. So, and I'm happy I somewhat agree with the two fantastic presentations by Eric here. Otherwise that would have been a bummer. But analysis is all about developing good KPIs. And in my world, that's no more than 5 KPIs. Creating insight and taking action on that insight. Good. And this is probably just one point where I might not even disagree with what we've heard before today, but just add a bit of caution to that. Just because we do a multivariate test on a given landing page, and we end up with a given test actually being the better one, that is that the orange button is better than the green button, it's not really analysis unless I figure out why it is the orange button is better. Because there's so many interrelations on your website that just because test one today doesn't mean that it won't affect something else on your website, or that that test will run out of freshness in 3 weeks' time, and you don't really know why. So you need to figure out, to some extent, why a given test actually won. Good. Yeah. Processes. You simply can't say that you have processes if you're taking decisions on an ad hoc basis. And when you look at the data-driven organization, it's actually less about clickstream KPIs, even though what most of the analytics vendors actually collect right now, out of the box, is clickstream data. Most of us, all of those in there, give you the opportunity to import external data sources. So you should actually use that to move beyond just basic clickstream ones. And of course, that you end up with decisions being depersonalized. It shouldn't be about whether your boss thinks it's correct to turn to the right, or whether the CMO thinks it's right to go to the left, or whether you should have a shift in strategy. The numbers by themselves should give you the direction that you should spend less on paid search and more time and effort on SEO, or you should start to use more Q&A on your website, or drive more focus to the site search. The data should actually end up taking the decisions. Conclusion. Why do we actually care? I think at some point if we don't care, and I think this is what you see in some of the reports, the white paper that's been out there, that if you use, basic tools which are not at an enterprise level, you would at some point actually hit a reporting goal, that you would deliver reports for so long, for so little value, that you'll see a disconnect between that investment that you made in the tool to begin with and the return on investment. And it doesn't matter whether you're paying $5 grand for the site catalyst and $1,500 for the index tool, but if you don't really get any return, you shouldn't even install it to begin with. You shouldn't actually even install Google Analytics and waste people's time. So you'll see that reporting goal at some point in time. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have reporting in place, because you should have reporting in place, which is an essential first step. It's simply just not going to cut it. Good. So I think we have to accept that whether we like it or not, there will be a culture change. There will be a move towards more data-driven organization, because we can see in those case studies out there that those who really embrace this with the data and start taking the decisions are getting ahead. And that was it. What I'd like to add to the presentation, so I get a bit for my sponsor, not dollars but euros, is that you might not really see us in the Belgian market, but we're generally a worldwide vendor. We have about half our revenue coming from North America, the other half coming from Europe, mostly the UK, Germany, and Scandinavia. We work for clients such as actually some of the WebTrans clients are my clients. Fantastic. So we would double track clients like Xerox. We would double track clients like Vodafone. For whatever reason, we will serve clients like Four Seasons, Toys R Us. So enterprise companies, and our sweet spots are two places in the market. Typically, very high volume clients, where the cost of deploying some of my competitors' tools are extremely high. So if you get into the hundreds of millions, even billions of page views on a monthly basis, it becomes very costly actually to deploy an analytics tool. And I'm a viable solution there. And then actually at the other end of the market, which is if you're below 10, 20 million page views on a monthly basis, you can actually go in and deploy an enterprise solution without really investing $100,000 to do so. And that's me.